Jesus is the answer for the world today.
Full Gospel Hour is a radio ministry of Full Gospel Church International. Our mission is to lead people to become devoted to Christ, build relationship with one another, and influence their community. For today's message, let's join Bishop Samuel N. Mensah.
Jesus is the answer for the world today.
Thank you very much, and we welcome you to this morning. We are here together to celebrate the life of a man who has been a great blessing to the family, to friends, to loved ones, and the church. And I was whispering to my resident pastor that sometimes, it's difficult to speak when you are very emotionally attached to something like that. But we are here to celebrate a life that has been well lived. Most often when you read biographies of individuals or you visit the cemetery, you will definitely see writings, and they will indicate born 1820, died 1900. Or in the biographies you will see 1881 to 1951 or 1935 to 2004, whatever. So normally you see these biographies, 1824-1900, and it tells us, and from Edda Dodu, 1933 to 2013. For all the dates, there is a hyphen in between, which we call dash. 1933-2013 or 1881 dash whatever. I am looking at that dash between the two dates. That dash speaks volumes, that characterizes basically the life that individual has lived on planet Earth here. The dash, like the entrance and exit to a building. In every good building, you will see an entrance and also an exit. Whenever I travel, especially to overseas, I check into a building or I check into a hotel. One of the first things I try to look for is, after the entrance, I look for the exit, the emergency exit. Because in a time of crisis, you'll be told don't use the elevator. You need to use the emergency exit. My recent one was in August when I checked into, Holiday Inn in the US, and the first thing I did was I tried to check on the exit, and then I saw two exits, so I decided to find out which of the exit is very close to my room. It's interesting, we checked in, and then it was about 5 p.m. Finally, we did everything. We went to bed. 2 a.m. we heard an alarm bell ringing. 2 in the middle of the night. It just rang to the extent that it would wake you up. So it woke me up. I sat down for a second, and then I checked, what is this noise all about? Then I decided just to rest again. But it kept on. So I opened my bedroom, checked, and I saw that it was so loud that it was disturbing the entire floor. My other neighbors also in the hotel, we didn't know each other. We all opened up at the same time, but we also closed and went back. But after 5 minutes, it kept on ringing, and I realized it was the fire alarm. 2:30 a.m. I woke up again, knocked on the rest of the doors, and I said, it's fire, get out, and let's use the exit door. So the exit door that I located was the one from the 4th floor. Quickly we descended, and guess what? At the time we got down, almost all the whites in the hotel were already on the floor. The people who were the last to come were the blacks. And 4 fire tenders came in, and everybody, some were in pajamas, and some didn't have shoes on, what have you. But the interesting thing was that I asked myself, how come the blacks were the last to find their way? Because they were taking everything for granted. They didn't care. But I see to every building there is an entrance and also an exit. And it is so true also in the life of a human being. Entrance was when we came into the world. Exit is when we leave the world. So that is the dash in the life of a human being. One man, Alan Sash, said, death is more universal than life. Everyone dies, but not everyone lives. He's saying that death is a universal thing. Everyone naturally dies, but not everyone lives. Some come into this world, they appear like they are living, but some of us here right now are alive, but we died years ago. We are only waiting for our physical burial. Those who are alive but died some years back are people who have become liability to society, problem to their family, and because of them every day the family is either paying bills because they are creating more troubles, they get into trouble, family have to deliver them, family have to save them, and they have become a liability to society and to family. They are alive but they died years ago, only waiting for their physical burial. But every one of us has a dash in our lives, and it is this dash that I would like us to take a little bit of time to consider. What is the dash that speaks volumes about you? Last Monday, 23rd of September, we celebrated the birthday of our first president, Kwame Nkrumah, and though he's dead, yet he lives. His works still speaks. The dash in his life is still speaking volumes about Ghana and the continent of Africa. So the question I would like to leave and ask you, based upon the scripture in Psalm 119 verse 19, in today's English version says, I am here on earth for just a little while. I am here on earth just a little while. The Apostle Peter also in 1 Peter chapter 1 verse 17, 1 Peter chapter 1 verse 17 in the Good News translation said this: if you call God your Father, leave your time as temporal residence on earth. If you call God, I mean, we pray our Lord's Prayer, our Father who art in heaven. And it says, if you call God your Father, then live your life here as temporary residence on earth. One of the greatest kings who ever lived, David, said, teach us to number our days and recognize how few they are. Help us to spend them as we should. In other words, Lord, teach us to number our days. Help us to recognize how few it is and how we should live our life. From the two statements of Peter and David, both of them are literally saying your time and my time on earth here is limited. It is but for a brief moment. No matter how much you may feel, no matter how you will reject it, it's a fact of life. No matter who you are, how young or old, what measure of success you have attained, or where you live, mortality remains an equalizer that everyone will die. With each clock or seconds, tick cock, and for every second that passes by, suggests that your life is behind you. How would you live your life if you knew you have 1 month to live on planet Earth here? How would you live your life if you knew you have only 1 month to live on planet Earth here? We recently lost one of our great sons in the land, Professor Kofi Awuno. He was invited to give a speech and to give a presentation in a conference in Kenya based upon his expertise. In the afternoon, he decided to visit the mall in Kenya with his son for lunch. so that he could get back for the evening and prepare to go and give his lecture. Little did he know he was going to meet an untimely death. How would you handle your life if you knew you have only 1 month to live? They did a survey and they asked a number of people that if you knew that you were facing a terminal sickness, this sickness definitely was going to take your life, and doctors have told you that you have barely 1 month to live, how would you handle your life? They did a survey, they searched around, and they realized that almost everybody who at one time or the other were told they had only about 30 days to live, they rearranged their life, they reorganized their life, they changed certain things that they used to do, and they repackaged themselves to live a quality life for that 30 days. I'm going to share with you some of the things that they said they were going to do that will perhaps help all of us. Number one, they said they will ask for forgiveness and forgive others. I have seen a number of people who were at the point of their death, and nothing more was important to them that they will call loved ones and friends, and they will ask them to forgive them if they have offended them, and they will also release any unforgiveness in their heart, because they wouldn't want to cross to the other side of the world with unforgiveness in their heart. They have realized that it is not worth living this world with unforgiveness and bitterness in your heart. Therefore, if there is something you need to straighten up with your friend, to straighten up with your loved one, this is your moment to be able to live peaceably with people. The second thing they said they would do when they know they have 30 days, for all those who have been told 30 days to live by doctors, they rearrange their lives. The second thing normally they did, they no longer think only of themselves, but they start thinking about others. They realize that money is no more important to them. They realize that wealth is no more important, but the most important things in their life are people. Take anybody who is on his dying bed, and the moment he knows he's just passing by, he calls for friends, he calls for loved ones, he calls for close people that he will want to have some personal time with. And at that time, he's not talking about his buildings, his companies, his cars. Those things do not mean much. Except one or two few people I encountered, as a pastor, I've encountered a lot of interesting things. Except one or few things I encountered. One was my own aunt, one of them. And just at the moment, it was a terrible situation right in the hospital. And just within a period of some few moments, she was just passing. And the doctors came to try to see what they could do to revive her. And she went off, but in the process of time, it was like she collapsed. But in the process of time, she came back just for some few moments. And the first thing she asked was, where was my purse where the money was in? Where was my purse? And I said, you are not thinking about what is happening to you, but rather thinking about your purse and your money and your keys. But I say, life is not measured by how long you live or you have lived, but by the contribution you make to life. If life were measured by how long you have lived, and then it would describe as well, if you have lived so long in life, then you were a very successful man, then may I submit to you that then Jesus Christ, the man we follow, was not very successful, but was a failure. Because he lived only 33 years of age. He died at the age of 33 years. At the prime of his age, very, 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 very young. He was not even 35, just 33. So life is not measured by how long you have lived, but by the contributions you make to life. That makes the big difference. He died very young, but he changed the rest of the world.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
The dash in your life, how would you be remembered? The third thing, those people who know, they said they have 1 month to live, they said they reach out to those they love and let them know how much they mean to them. They spent time. We heard in the tribute, he was calling all the children and was engaging them in conversation. He spent time with every one of them. Little did they know that he was bidding them farewell. It has been established that people who know they have only 30 days to live and they are right in the hospital and with a terminal situation, they reach out to those they love and to let them know how much they mean to them and how they love them. Last year, 2012, I learned some great, interesting situation when we lost our president, President Atta Mills. By 12 o'clock when the news came, at 2 o'clock I was in my office when my wife called me and said, "Have you heard?" I said, "What is it?" He said, "The president has died." I said, "You don't mean it." He said, "Just tune into radio station." And then I tuned in and I was listening and they announced the death. 2 o'clock in the afternoon, they announced the death of the president. 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we all lost our president. And everybody was not too sure what was going to happen, how the state was going to be kept together, what was going to happen in the country. But within 4 hours, we had a new president. So you see, the immediate family members of Atta Mills, the first lady and Nadu Mills lost a husband. The son lost a father. The nation lost a president. But 4 hours the nation got another president. But they never got a father. And they never got a husband. The most important people that matter to you is not the money you make, not your work. You spend all your time going to work. But the people who are in your life. Spend time and love them. Spend time and be with them. Spend time and spend time with them. Because you will leave your work. You will die for your work, but your work will continue to go on whether you like it or not.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
One bishop friend of mine said when they were watching the swearing in of our president, new president Mahama, within 4 hours, he said that a daughter of about 8 years asked him a question. He said, "Dada, is this man who they are swearing him in, is he a happy man or he's sad?" That was a very deep question this girl at the age of 8 asked. Is he a happy man, happy that he's now a president, or he's sad that he has lost his boss? A friend of mine told me they worked very late one day into the night, almost up to 1 a.m. to the extent that they were all tired and exhausted because they had to put documents together for a presentation for them to win a contract for their company, which was very critical. And so finally they got exhausted and they couldn't continue, so they decided to go home, come early in the morning to continue. He said his colleague got into the car. He drove from Accra Central down to Adenta area, but he was so tired and worn out that he was sleeping behind the wheels. He had an accident, and by 2:30 he had a phone call that he died on the spot. And when they called him, he also called his boss and told him, "This is what has happened." He said the first question their director asked is that, "Where is the laptop? Are the documents saved in the laptop? Make sure you grab it, because we have a presentation to make the following day." And then he said he learned a lesson. That listen, you can kill yourself for your company, but when you are gone, the following day, business would go on as usual. Important people in your life are the wife and the children and the loved one whom you are spending, whom you don't have time for, and you don't have time to spend time with. When you come home, your children want to look for you, say, "Daddy is busy." Every moment, "Daddy is busy. Daddy is busy." But when you are no more, business will go on as usual. Let the people who are around you whilst you're alive know they are important to you. I pray that today you rearrange your life so that when you go home, you can spend time with the children that God has given to you, with your wife and your husband who are important in your life, because at that day they are the people who will stand by you. The fourth thing they said they would do, that they will accept each day as a gift from God. So when they know they have 30 days to live, most of them, the studies prove that they accept each day. When they wake up in the morning, they know it is a gift from God. You wake up in the morning, do you thank Him for the gift of the day? Excited about what God has given to you. Most often, we complain about the things we don't have, and we look down upon the things we have. Instead of we being grateful for the things we do have, we are always complaining about the things we don't have. Stop complaining about the things that are wrong in your life and start thinking about the good things in your life that you can be grateful to God for. Some are in hospital, no food can get into their stomach because any food that gets there is rejected by the organs. You, by His grace, you can eat anything you want to eat, and yet you are full of complaints. Be grateful for the gift of the day. The fifth thing they said they would do, their relationship with God would be enhanced. And that is what we saw in the life of Elder Dodu. He loved God. And not only that, but he jealously fought for the things of God. Most often he will call me. Whenever he calls me, he will always admonish me and encourage me. And he will always tell me, be careful of some people. Be careful of some of the things around. He will always say, be careful. And anybody who is not straight up with God, he always had a problem with them. This is a man who really loved God. Not only that, but he loved giving. He would give, and one of the things he will always do, he was a great blessing to pastors. And one pastor told me, these were the men you would love to have them on your church board, because they would think well of the pastor. They would make sure the pastor is taken good care of. They will make sure that the pastor is paid well. There are some church leaders, when you get them on your board, you the pastor, you are in trouble for life. This was a man, anytime he traveled, there was no trip he would make without coming with foodstuffs and knock on the door of every pastor and bless him. There are some people you have in your congregation, they are your leaders. They have money, but they don't even know your home. They can't even remember when they brought their pastor their gift. God has blessed them, yet they are only just thinking about themselves and not even the work of God. This was a man, anything that should be done in the house of the Lord, he was ready to give. His children even said that at a point they thought that why was he neglecting them, or why was he thinking more of people who were in need? But they realized that that was the DNA makeup of the man. He loved to help people. He loved to fix problems. He loved to do something good to humanity. Once a while during Christmas, my wife and I will go bless him with some foodstuffs, and then he will call crying and he said, I'm supposed to do this for you. Why are you now doing this? Now at my age that I don't have enough income. I said, look, Edda, you have sown over the years. This is your time now to reap. I pray that you will realize that the dash in your life is not meant to live for yourself. You must live for the benefit of humanity. I'm here celebrating a man who, 1, he lived for God. 2, he loved the work of God. 3, he loved people. Number 4, he loved giving. And number 5, he jealously protected the work of God. What can you be remembered for? Dash in your life will speak volumes about you. Shall we rise on our feet?
Jesus is the answer for the world today.
Thank you for listening to Full Gospel Hour, and it's our prayer that your life is transformed for victorious living. We believe no matter where you are in life, you can be better. Join Bishop Samuel N. Mensah at Emmanuel Mensah Chapel of the 5-Star Church of Full Gospel Church International, behind Obonu FM Stadium Road, Community 1, Tema. For our friendly services on Sundays, join any of our branches for practical life-transforming teachings. We will be glad to hear what the Lord has done in your life. To correspond to Bishop Samuel N. Mensah, please write to Mensah, spelled MENSAH, at omegaleadership.org, or Full Gospel Media, Full Gospel Church International, P.O. Box BT 427, Tema, Ghana, or Full Gospel Hour, P.O. Box CO 1326, Tema, Ghana, or telephone 0303 202260. or 0303 203435 and 0243 277084. FGCI, Transforming Lives on Purpose. Full Gospel Hour is brought to you by Menergy International Ghana Limited, a one-stop shop for the provision of logistics services to oil fields in West Africa. Menergy, your total solution to oil and gas logistics needs. At Menergy, we make things happen. For future inquiries, please log on to www.menergyinternational.com.